Hello, the internet. We love it when we're trying to make sure that the sound is working and the stream is working. Good morning. How are you? Welcome, everybody. I am Ashley Victoria Robinson, and this is episode 8 of Enter the Popverse. My friends, can you believe we've made it this far? If you don't know, or this is your first time visiting us, Enter the Popverse is produced by Reed Pop, and the Popverse is, of course, a virtual realm where we are celebrating the best in TV, movies, and comics. If you want to make sure that you are getting the full Popverse experience, don't forget that you can always head over to thepopverse.com where you can see everything that we are getting up to at each and every single time. And while you're over there, why not get yourself a Popverse membership so you never miss out on any of the amazing videos, articles, reels, photos, all the cool things that we're doing there all the time. Our next live show, as you may or may not know, is C2E2 happening in Chicago from March 31st until April 2nd. Now, if you are sitting at home saying to yourself, but Ashley Victoria Robinson, it's March 31st right now. That's true, my friends. It is C2E2 right now, right this weekend, all the way through until Sunday. So if you are in that area, please be sure to check it out. All things C2E2 can be found at this handy dandy link that we have right down here. Not only are we C2E2ing this weekend, my friends, but next week, we are Star Wars celebrationing from April 7th to 10th. So there is going to be so much Star Wars content all day, all the time. I wore my Star Trek shirt just for this occasion to let you know that you can find myself and the entire Popverse team is going to be at Star Wars Celebration next weekend. I want to let you know what that means for Enter the Popverse specifically. If you've been here from the beginning, you know that even when we have such amazing events that we are all at, we like to make sure that you still have a show here. There will be a pre-recorded episode right here next week at 10 a.m. Pacific time, 1 p.m. Eastern time, talking Star Wars Celebration and all of the geeky news that is leading up to that point. So be sure and visit us here in the Popverse if you're not visiting us across the pond in Europe, doing all things Star Wars all the time. March is, of course, Women's History Month, and I want to wish you today specifically a happy Trans Day of Visibility. Whether or not you are trans or an ally, today is a day to celebrate. Okay, my friends, I know you came here because you saw the thumbnail and you saw the tweets and you know a little bit about the amazing guests that we have on this episode of Enter the Popverse. Let's get into it. I am joined today in a pre-recorded interview by Connie Nielsen, star of Wonder Woman, Justice League, Gladiator, and the television series The Dreamer Becoming Karen Blixen, which is available to watch right now on Viaplay. We had such a great chat earlier this week. I do want to let you know, because it has been raining and the internet has been choppy in Los Angeles, my first question gets cut off in the video I'm going to play for you. What I asked Connie in the first question was, what was it like stepping into Karen Blixen's shoes? She is a very famous Danish author who wrote the book that became the movie Out of Africa, and whether she spent a lot of time with the book or the movie before she stepped into Karen's shoes. So now you know. We're going to go right into the video. She's going to talk right off the bat. We're all going to fall in love. I can't wait to share this with you.
She is quite literally rushing around the town to try and find a place for them, to beg the British to give them a space to live, and she succeeds, and then Dennis crashes.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where we start our story.
That's where you start after all of that.
That's where we start our story, because the truth of the matter is, and this is something that the film doesn't show.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the original film doesn't show.
Mm-hmm.
Karen didn't become a writer until after that. So this is the story of a woman who discovers that she has this enormous talent, but she discovers it when she's 47. And she only discovers it because of necessity, because she has a choice. She can either learn how to do something, or she can be a dependent, a beggar, a person who has no say-so in her life for the rest of her life. And
And is that complex inner life is starting at what feels like the climax of the story? Is that what appealed to you as an actor stepping into this incredibly iconic person's life?
absolutely. For me, it was the ability to show women,
Mhm.
particularly women, that, maybe you've spent uh, the last 20 years raising your kids. Maybe you've, worked at a job that maybe didn't make you feel like this was the most important thing in the world. And maybe, just maybe, as it is for a lot of people during COVID, you've discovered, I don't really want to go back to that.
Mhm.
And I wanted to tell them this true story so that they could feel a little bit inspired to go, hell with it. I'm gonna go for it. I'm gonna
That
go for it.
that's so beautiful, and we really need that right now. You
Yeah.
are also a very famous polyglot. I thought about doing this interview in Deutsch or en français just to show off. And in this movie, you get to act in multiple different languages. Is that a fun challenge? Is that really hard to be memorizing and thinking in different languages while you're also being on set, telling the weight of this story, sweating under the lights, all the fun things that come along with being an actor?
Um, Actually, the linguistic parts are really kind of easy, because it's like um, for my kind of brain, it's
Mhm.
just it's a little bit like just switching from one song to another song. I'm singing one song here, and then okay, I'm gonna go start singing this other song. So it doesn't really make a difference for me. It's just whatever it is. If I can use it for the character, it's a great thing.
Mhm. Is it more challenging to play a character who is, like, really heady and intellectual like Karen Blixen or really physical and imposing as we know you as Hippolyta in the DC universe?
Well, you try to, get as many things as possible in there. With Karen, for
Mhm.
example, I brought a lot of physicality in there because, first of all, I had to starve myself for 6 months because I had all those muscles from Justice League and
Yeah.
from Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
And, they were just going to go away. And here I had to become like a sparrow and sick, really, really.
Mhm.
So I quite literally lived off of water and coffee for 6 months. I don't recommend it. Your hair starts falling out.
Oh,
Um,
no.
and and then I had to put on like these thick brown lenses every day and this gray and brown wig. It
Mhm.
was really like a physical transformation every morning, and putting on like this white and blue makeup to make me look like I'm sick, 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 right?
Mhm.
So it was also a great exercise in not being vain. This time. But so every character really is a very physical experience as well, and vice versa for these physical characters.
Mhm.
You need to bring in a culture. Like when I was doing Hippolyta, I was deep inside this incredible book called Amazons, written by this Stanford anthropologist who's just amazing. And this book was just it permeated me, and it permeated my experience like every day. And we used it. A lot of us used this book to kind of like together with Patty and with Zach to to really make that culture experience come alive too. So it's never either or. It's really like every character has both this mental and cultural aspects and then this physical aspect.
So you talked about all the prep that you had to do to step into Karen Blixen every single day. How long was your makeup call on set? Because we think of big makeup calls as being things for like people playing creatures or hobbits or not a nice Danish woman.
No, absolutely. It was a 2-hour thing just to get
Woo.
the wig and then start painting. Like we had to paint inside my lips so I could have like skinny lips, and
Mhm.
I had to paint inside the eyes to make my eyes small. And then this like blue gray makeup on the face. It was, and then I had to put on this corset to remove my boobs because
Mhm.
she had no boobs, and she was like this tiny little person. And so I just had to make myself really tiny. That was a lot of work. And then after all that, you know, I knew we would start shooting the actual short story itself, The Dreamers, where I'm playing 4 different women. All these
Oh,
women
okay.
are idealized, right? So they have to
Mhm.
look nice. And I was frankly looking not nice.
Mhm.
When you lose so much weight, like your face starts like, dissolving. It's not, you don't look good. And all of a sudden I had to like, well, put weight back on while I was shooting, and then started working out. So I was like, I would have to start working out at 4:30 in the morning,
Mhm.
so that by the time we started shooting the other parts, I would not look sick. And
Mhm.
for the character where she's like a lady of the night kind of lady,
Uh-huh.
she was very scantily dressed, so I had to like, do something.
Rise to the occasion, of course.
Yes.
Which version of her did you have the most fun embodying? Was it the Lady of the Night?
Oh my God, was it ever? That whole brothel scene was so much fun. Honestly, I loved her. She was so wicked and fun. Yeah, but also the revolutionary woman
Mhm.
was so cool to play as well, and like making it all happen inside of this dream-like space that the director and the art production designer had made. It was so beautiful. The costumes were insane.
Yeah, in a lot of ways, even though there is a full ensemble in this film, you're kind of doing a one-woman show as her journey progresses.
It feels a little bit like that. I hope it doesn't seem like, I didn't. I mean, I wrote the concept, but I didn't write those lines and those scenes. That was my writer. So
Yes. Can you talk a little bit about that collaboration and that process of putting this together?
yeah, for sure. I realized the more I got to know about Karen Blixen,
Mhm.
I discovered all these things that I didn't know, and if I didn't know it, for sure most other people probably didn't know it either. As in view of the fact that I was a huge fan. Um, but so I right after I'd been to the museum that is, made out of the place that she used to live,
Mhm.
and I saw like her paintings, her drawings, and I got to know the true story of what had really happened, and I was just like, oh my God, this story is insane. But I said it's more important to me, really, that unlike, usually when you make a film about a female artist, it's a story about her sex life or a story about her romantic experience, like the love of her life or something like that. And I was like, no, I want to show how she thinks. I want to show her creative process. And so inside of my concept, I actually put in, we're going to use one of her stories as a autobiographic clue seeker. And
Mhm.
we're going to show how what is happening in her life is affecting what she's writing about. And so our writer came up with this, the idea that we should use the dreamers, and it was the perfect story to use. And it was her idea that I should play all of these characters so you could really actually understand, what is it that Karen is trying to say with this story. And I think this is interesting also for young women too.
Mhm.
This is a woman who describes, after having had these monumental love stories in her life with her husband and with Dennis Finch, who is like this love of her life kind of person. But she is writing the story about a situation where, she can either be a woman as body, meaning the prostitute, or
Mhm.
woman as spirituality, which is the lady who is a nun,
Mhm.
and who gets seduced by what is really clearly an image of her ex-husband. Um,
Mhm.
and or you can be a woman of ideas, the revolutionary woman. But Pellegrina, the fourth woman, is really all of those women in one person. And she realizes that none of these men would ever let her be who she really is. All of those fractional parts of her will not allow her to be all of those things: a spiritual woman, a
Mhm.
woman of ideas, a woman of body, a whole woman. And I thought that was a really, really important thing to show about her, because I think a lot of women do find themselves in that situation where they feel like, well, I can't be everything I am and still be loved.
Mhm.
And Karen says, well, it's the most important thing, really, to be everything that you are
All the time.
all the time.
Wow, you really blew my mind with that. Okay, before I let you go, because I know you are so busy and we're so thrilled to have you with us here today, I have to ask, because the rumors are swirling again that Gladiator 2 is happening. Is there any chance that you would be interested in returning to that role and reprising your time in ancient Rome?
Oh my God, obviously, it's such a great role, Lucilla, right? It's such an amazing role. She is so beloved by so many people.
Mhm.
I know this because, it's been 20 years of me going into a supermarket and looking haggard, and people coming up to me and saying, I love Lucilla so much.
I was like, I don't think anybody watching believes that you look haggard, but that's so sweet of you to say. Connie Nielsen, thank you so much for joining us today here in the
Thank
Popverse.
you. Thank you so much. And thanks so much for watching. I really, really appreciate it.
It's so good. And we'll have the full details down in the description for anybody who has not watched The Dreamer yet.
Thank you.
How awesome was that? Oh, she is Queen Hippolyta in all things that she does, which is why Connie Nielsen is so incredible. If you've loved her in Justice League or in Gladiator, please check out The Dreamer. I got to watch it before I chatted with her. It's so incredible. And I love that she dropped the truth bombs like Popverse is pointing out. Thank you, Franz. That 2 hours of regular person makeup. Who would have thought? That's wild and amazing. Gladiator 2. If you are someone who is not like myself and you have never gone down the Gladiator sequels rabbit hole, you can find all kinds of coverage about it over the internet. There's been plans for Gladiator 2, Gladiator 3, and they are beyond the pale, like the type of stories that you would never expect to happen. So whether or not that's what's going to happen this time, I highly encourage you to spend this time Googling, because sometimes things that get in development and the way Hollywood works is a truly, truly wild experience. Speaking of Hollywood being wild, there has been a lot of entertainment news today. We have a story that I want to talk about. I simply cannot parse it on my own. So I want to take this time to welcome back to Enter the Popverse, Graeme McMillan. Welcome
Hello
back,
there.
Graeme.
How are you?
I'm so good. How are you?
I am very good. I'm very happy to be on here and also very jealous of you for getting to talk to Connie Nielsen.
She's so beautiful and so perfect in real life. Okay, we can talk about that all day, but I want to use your brain and I want you to tell me what the heck is going on over at Marvel and Disney, because we got news earlier this week that Ike Perlmutter is not in the picture anymore. And that's
he's gone.
kind of monumental news.
It's insane. I mean, he has been there for 25 years, slightly longer, but he has been the CEO of Marvel for 25 years.
Yeah.
Ever since Marvel and Toy Biz merged in 1988, he has been 1998. He has been the CEO of Marvel, and he has been a slightly controversial figure, to say the least.
Yes.
Stories of Ike Perlmutter's reign abound. I mean, I don't know if you saw, but after it was revealed that he'd shall we say, parted ways with Disney.
Yes.
Kurt Busiek, of all people, the comic writer Kurt Busiek, took to Twitter and shared that there was a point when Ike Perlmutter made Marvel employees pay for their own toilet paper.
I mean, I think we also very famously know the story about screenings going on and why Marvel screenings are so restrictive, and the paperclip being taken out of the trash can.
The paperclip being taken out of the trash can, getting rid of coffee machines.
Yeah.
Because he thought that was too expensive, only for work to slow down because people weren't caffeinated, which is kind of amazing, really. Yeah, Ike was a very particular type of person. He also we say this like it's all fun and games, but he was kind of terrible in many respects. There is an apocryphal, I will say, because I don't want you or I to get sued. But there is an apocryphal story that he apparently had no problem replacing actors in the James Rhodes role in Marvel Cinematic Universe because he didn't think anyone would be able to tell the difference.
Mm-hmm.
He's
which is problematic on a
on
layered
so many levels.
number
Like,
of reasons.
yeah, no, he was not a nice man, and he was a very strict
Mhm.
leader of the company, and very famously wanted to keep costs down, which has had big implications, not just with Marvel Studios. And famously, Marvel Studios parted ways with Marvel Entertainment in
Yeah.
2015 because of the conflicts between this. But also in terms of publishing, Marvel's backlist has never been kept in print because Ike didn't want to pay for the backlist. He didn't want to pay to keep things in warehouses, and that's had massive effects.
And
Yeah,
not
so-
only did he leave, but his like two lieutenants, like the two people who kind of worked with him most directly, left. And then
Yes.
Disney, sorry, I'm Commonwealth, so I don't say lieutenant, I say lieutenant. Lieutenant. But also Disney, this happened amidst a flurry of other layoffs. So
Disney wants to get rid of 7,000 people over
Yeah.
the next few months, and there's apparently going to be 3 waves, and this is the first wave, and this is apparently the smallest of the planned waves, which is slightly scary.
Yeah.
It is fair to say that what is going to happen over the next few months is incredibly unknown. As part of Perlmutter being released from Disney,
Mhm.
Marvel Entertainment is apparently been deemed redundant by Disney, which is a big deal. It's everything Marvel does that isn't the movies.
Yeah.
So we'll see what that means. So I think when the story broke, I was talking to people inside Marvel, I was talking to people inside Disney, and there was complete confusion.
Yeah.
There was complete confusion, and it wasn't people playing coy, and it wasn't people saying like, we can't say. There was genuine. We do not know what this means. We do not know what is going to happen. I heard very contradictory things in terms of what people expected to happen,
Mhm.
which is funny because I don't know if you've been online, this internet of ours, but there's lots of people on social media making very definitive statements about why this is a good or bad thing, and you're all wrong because nobody knows.
So I want to kind of get into that a little bit. At the top, I talked that, you and I and everybody else, we're all going to Star Wars Celebration
Mhm.
next week.
Mhm.
Yes, we're talking about Ike Perlmutter specifically. That is a sort of Team Marvel announcement, but there's a lot of expectations about what may or may not be announced at Star Wars. So like, is there any chance that this is maybe key timing and we got this announcement toward the end of the week because we're going to swath it all over with exciting Star Wars announcements next week?
I mean, let's not underestimate the potential for, let's try and get the bad news out of the way first and then have some really good news to cheer people up.
Yeah.
There are many exciting things rumored for Star Wars Celebration announcements.
Yeah.
I mean, very particular things that people have waited for quite some time, literally years. But I'm really curious to see how this is going to play out, because there's definitely another shoe to drop with the Marvel news.
Oh, for sure.
And I worry. One of the things that was funny is not the right word, but
Interesting.
yes, accidental.
Mhm.
Was the Ike Perlmutter news dropped on the same day that Marvel announced that they were doing the new Jonathan Hickman series, Gods.
Yeah.
Which was meant to be the big Marvel news of the day, and within an hour was just completely, blown away by the real world business news of Marvel.
It's also kind of buried the news that Joe Quesada, obviously formerly big, important figure at Marvel, is now doing comics work over at Amazon. And there's been rumors for a long time that Amazon's been trying to buy DC and what that could mean. And I think that's all kind of got swathed away as well over the Ike Perlmutter announcement.
Firstly, Amazon's not going to buy DC. That's not going to happen. I will say that right now. Use this clip years from now. I am saying on March 31st, 2023, Amazon's not going to buy DC. But no, it's the Ike news is really, really big.
Yeah.
It's big in and of itself, but the fact that it might be smaller compared to, Marvel isn't going to be a standalone company anymore.
Yeah.
Just shows like the scale of what's happening. This week was a great week for anyone to drop news that they didn't want anyone to pay attention to. Do you know what I mean?
Okay, it was also a great week if you're worried about Star Wars Celebration coming up with all this news next week. So I would love, Graeme, can we talk about some of the Star Trek news? I put my Penny shirt on.
Yes.
Very
Also,
reason.
I love very much that at the start you were like, Star Wars Celebration's coming up. That's why I'm wearing a Star Trek shirt.
Look, I had a moment where I was prepping for this episode. Come behind the scenes with me, friends. And I looked around and I said, there's a Star Trek poster there and there. There's a Defiant placard and an Enterprise placard.
No, you
Enterprise over
you
my
and me are
head.
the same. It's like if there's a Star Trek Star Wars fight, like you and me are both Team Star Trek.
Yeah, 100%. So there's like no way that we weren't going to talk about this. Let me pull it up. Okay, this is the big announcement that's got everybody excited, is that we're finally getting Starfleet Academy. We also got this with the announcement that Strange New Worlds, Lower Decks, and Prodigy are all coming back for a new season order. Graeme, what has grabbed your attention? What are you hyped about coming out of this era of new Trek?
I mean, I'm incredibly excited for more Strange New Worlds. I thought Strange New Worlds season 1 was just wonderful. It made me excited in a way that like a Star Trek show, as much as I've liked them, hasn't made me excited in a long time.
Yeah.
So the idea of we're getting a third season even before the second season aired, great. Sign me up. I'm excited for Starfleet Academy. I'm really curious what it's going to be. The announcement was suggested it's going to be, I don't want to say YA, but
I think CW has kind of been floated around as a comparison. So maybe something more like the Arrowverse or Riverdale, like something a little more.
I was going to say Riverdale, and if it was Riverdale, that'd be great. If we got an absolutely crazy Riverdale Star Trek, I would be thrilled.
Musical numbers, we're doing.
Oh no, like if we have like Junior Twin Peaks Star Trek, that would be the greatest thing. But I like the idea because I really like Prodigy as well.
So I love Prodigy. I love it so much.
I think Prodigy is such a great series, but it is also Star Trek for kids, which is great. And I love that you do get them showing off that Star Trek is and can be so many different things. Within the worlds of Star Trek or the galaxy or the universe of Star Trek, you get to serve so many different types of stories and so many different audiences. And so sure, give me like CW Star Trek. Give me Nickelodeon Star Trek with Prodigy. Give me, I'm trying to think of a, old person Star Trek with Picard.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? As much as I'm going to complain, I was going to say spoilers, but it happened in like an episode 2 or 3 weeks ago. Don't do Roll Aaron dirty like that. Just don't. Like I was so excited then. Oh, man.
Okay, wait, let me ask you this. Did you ever read, speaking of Marvel Comics, did you ever read the Starfleet Academy Marvel Comics book?
Yes. Yeah. And the IDW one that came out like a couple of years ago as well.
Do you think there's any chance that we get any of those characters? Because something like Lower Decks in particular has done a really good job at is highlighting things from beta canon and making those alpha canon. Do you think we're going to get, because Starfleet Academy is so rich with these characters that like deep cut nerds love?
I think you and I could
props. There's so much Star Trek stuff in this room.
I think Star Trek fans like you and me could be really, really excited by what a show like Starfleet Academy can do, right? Because you do get the option to bring in so many things from the novels, the comics, the everything else, and make it quote unquote canon in a way that we never had the option before. But that's like, I really like this new era of Star Trek anyway, because you do have Lower Decks, which is simultaneously just utterly, taking the mickey, I will say to be polite and not swear, out of Star Trek, while clearly loving Star Trek more than anything else on the planet. You don't make those deep cuts if it doesn't come from a place from love.
100%.
The Star Trek season 8 which is what the Twitter account / book that Mike worked on before Lord X is the same thing, where it is just it's very aware of how bad some of this stuff was, but also loves it anyway, and I love that very much.
I would also love to know from anybody who's watching this live, hop into the comments. Graeme said that he's most excited to see Strange New Worlds. I'm definitely excited most to see New Prodigy. I want to know what everybody else is most excited for, even if it's just the upcoming Starfleet Academy with its CW question mark this.
It's
Because-
Riverdale in this. Come on, Stranger Worlds Lower Decks crossover is going to be great.
Look, all I'm going to say is justice for Hemmer. And also, if you all missed it when I was at WonderCon, I made a Shaw was right cosplayer reel over on our Instagram account, and boy, some people are so mad about that, but I'm really proud about that. So go and check it out. Tiffany Babb says that she is most excited about Starfleet Academy. We love our teen dramas.
So we do. Can we talk about that? Like in terms of the Popverse does love the team dramas. You and me are team reality show dating shows, but
we're team trash.
We are team trash.
Love is Blind is on right now. I am living my best Netflix life. There's new episodes. I'm gonna watch them as soon as we're done. Jeremy Skinner, my beloved, showing out for the comedy nerds, saying Lower Decks. All I want from Lower Decks is Rutherford and Tendi to kiss, and it's never going to happen, and I'm truly devastated by it, I have to say, personally.
They've got a whole new season to make it happen. Come on.
For Roddenberry Entertainment, I host the Lower Decks and the Prodigy After Show, and every time I speak to Mike McMahon lets me know that there will be no kissing from those two characters. So I will say, I am devastated. Oh, Graeme, while I still have you, can we? Because Tiffany brought this up. If Duolingo reality show isn't real, I'm gonna be real sad. What is this?
I got an email from Peacock advertising a show called Love Language, and Love Language is, it claimed, a reality show it's making with Duolingo.
Yeah,
wherein, just like in Love Island, a bunch of hot people go into the same villa to find romance, but none of them speak the same language.
Yeah.
I think it's an April Fool's joke. I think it's leading up to an April Fool's reveal. I kind of hope it isn't, because that is the greatest high concept behind a dating show. I would watch the crap out of that.
There you go. Okay, Graeme, I've kept you for an extra topic I didn't tell you we were going to talk about. I will release you back into the wild, but tell everybody online where they can find you if they want to talk more about Disney, Marvel, Star Trek, or reality TV.
If you want to talk more about reality TV, come find me. I'm on Twitter at Graeme M, at GraeMem. I am on Popverse. Just that's where I live now. So just come and find all my stuff in Popverse.
That's so true. Graeme, thank you for joining us again. I love you. I will see you across the pond in like a week.
I know. Oh, God. Don't even say that. We leave in a few days.
I know.
Hyperventilate. See you soon.
Bye. Thank you, Graeme, for joining us. Our unofficial co-host. Always such a blast. Friends, we talked about Marvel. I think it's really only fair and appropriate that we go right ahead and we talk about some DC stuff. I want to talk to you about Batman, the Doom That Came to Gotham. If you missed it, over on our Instagram account, I made this way. I have no sense of spatial relations. I made a short reel that is the 3 things you need to know if you are going to check out Batman, the Doom That Came to Gotham. I highly recommend checking out that reel. I worked really hard on it and it was a lot of fun. Last weekend at WonderCon, Tiffany Babb and I were able to check out Batman, the Doom That Came to Gotham. It's available everywhere right now for purchase, digital or physical. It is the new DC animated movie based on the Mike Mignola comic book. It's an Elseworld story. And as somebody who's a huge fan of the Robins and the Bat family concept and Batgirls, this movie really tickled me because it has such a fun and interesting version of the Batman family that we haven't seen explored really in a ton of other Elseworld story. All I will say is this is one of my favorite versions of Jason Todd. If you are a Jason Todd stan, you absolutely must check out Batman, the Doom That Came to Gotham. Yes, please. You can find the reel right here. It's a minute long. I know you're going to enjoy it, my friends. I want to leave you with some thoughts that I have about Batman, the Doom That Came to Gotham. Firstly, in this new DC animated universe, we've kind of waffled between having original stories that are part of an ongoing narrative and adapting pre-existing stories. We got Gotham by Gaslight recently versus something like the recent Legion of Superheroes movie that came out. Batman the Doom That Came to Gotham is much more in the Gotham by Gaslight camp, where we are adapting a pre-existing story. If you like Victorian horror, Sherlock Holmes, Cthulhu type stories, you are going to really, really want to sink your teeth into this movie, because it deals a lot with the marriage of the world's greatest detective and mysticism and monsters and possessions and borderline magical stuff. This is a Venn diagram that really appeals to me specifically. This gives me a lot of the aesthetics that I like to see. I'm also a huge Sherlock stan, so getting a chance to see Batman operating under those same types of circumstances and kind of get to put his abilities against my favorite literary detective's abilities. I had a lot of fun watching this movie. The cast is really incredible. We get a new addition to the Batgirl camp, voiced by Tatiana Gabrielle. Her name is Kylie Kane. Yes, if you are like me and you know that Cassandra Cain is the best Batgirl with the best Batgirl costume, you can tweet me at Ashley V. Robinson if you disagree with that. Kylie Kane is such a fun addition to this world. There's also a ton of villains who get a chance to show out, some of whom in the true Batman style are maybe not really villains. We get both Oswald Cobblepot and Harvey Dent in specific versions to Batman the Doom That Came to Gotham, kind of setting up the bigger, badder monster villain. I enjoyed seeing these characters explored in this way for this movie. It's both the same and different as you're used to seeing these characters in the comic book. David Dastmalchian also plays a really important character who you're introduced to towards the beginning of the movie, who becomes more important as the plot goes along. He's incredible. You know him, of course, for the Marvel Universe, just recently in Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, and for the Count Crowley series. And we get a chance to see Batman kind of stepping into that Grant Morrison role as Bat God. If you know the Grant Morrison era JLA, you know that Batman in his stories has to step up to the level of gods, of Wonder Woman and Superman. And we have to see him fight a giant scary monster at the end of Batman the Doom That Came to Gotham. So you get to see Batman at the absolute height of his abilities, and, you know, perhaps beyond the height of traditional human capabilities. If you want a more in-depth take, if you're not certain, if you're not afraid of slightly more spoilery details than I gave you here, but not a ton of more spoilery details, our very own deputy editor, who you've seen here on Enter the Popverse before, Tiffany Babb, gives a full in-depth written review over on thepopverse.com. I don't want to scroll too deep in this article because I don't want to give you guys a chance to be spoiled by it. But we have a full in-depth review from Tiffany over on thepopverse.com. And something that I really love about what we do in the Popverse is we are all allowed to express our authentic experiences. And Tiffany and I have slightly diverging opinions on the movies. So if you watch this and you take in my take and then you read the article and you get Tiffany's take, you probably get a really well-balanced idea of what the movie is going to be like. Like I mentioned earlier, it is available right now where all fine digital movies, where all fine DC animated movies are had. You can get it digitally or you can get it in person. Okay, friends. And here's the link to the review. Thank you so much, Popverse, for pulling that up for me. You'll notice it because it has the picture of Batman the Doom That Came to Gotham popping up beside it. Lastly, but not leastly, like I mentioned at the top, we are at C2E2 right now. There are people from the Read Pop team and Team Popverse all over there all weekend long doing a ton of fun, creative, and curative things for you. For anybody who's maybe never gone to C2E2 before or is going this weekend for the first time, I wanted to pull somebody in from the Read Pop team, somebody who is boots on the ground and makes C2E2 happen each and every year. So we're going to go into a very, very fun interview that I did with Read Pop teammate Liz Jaite, all about how to have the best C2E2 possible. So let's welcome in Liz Jaite, who is on our US Comics team right now. Liz, thank you for joining us today in the Popverse.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here right now.
For anyone watching at home, you don't know how long in the making this is and how special this is and how excited I am to talk to Liz today. So if you've ever attended a Read Pop show, you've probably seen Liz running around keeping us together by her sheer force of will. So Liz, for anyone who maybe doesn't recognize the hair or your incredible personality, what is your job title and what does that mean from a comic convention perspective?
So my title is content manager for Read Pop's US comics portfolio. And what that means is I manage the content and programming for the show. So that could be anything from panels, workshops, demos, to just kind of anything like that a fan is doing at the show.
So in layman's terms, you are responsible for all of the cool things that we get to do each and every single day of a convention.
I would say my team we are the vibe creators.
Yes. Oh,
Yeah.
I hear you say that all the time, and I love it so much. Or chasing the vibes is the other phrase that we throw around a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So right now
Yeah.
we are smack dab in the middle of convention season. How are you holding up so far? And are you terribly excited for this weekend coming up?
I'm doing well, lots of, you got to balance everything, and I'm excited. I'm excited for C2E2 this week, and I think it's going to be a really great show. It'll be my first C2E2. So I'm really excited to see the show in action.
Is this your first C2E2? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's so exciting.
Mhm.
Wait, so then I have to ask this. Have you been to Chicago before?
Through the airport, which I don't think that counts.
Oh, I'm so excited
time.
for you because Chicago is so cool. Okay, so as this is also going to be your first time being boots on the ground, this just got so much more exciting for like me personally.
Yeah.
What are you most excited for? What are you most looking forward to? And what are you most looking forward to seeing fans and attendees get to experience?
Well, of course, I personally I am really excited for the show floor as kind of putting myself in the shoes of a fan. Like I love shopping, and I think there's a lot of really great art in Artist Alley. And then of course just getting all those really awesome anime toys from exhibitors. But then besides shopping, a lot of the content and programming happening at C2E2 I'm really excited for. We have a lot of really great content for all ages content. We have 21 and up, we have 18 and up. There's going to be a lot of different types of content happening starting at 10 in the morning going all the way till midnight, which is exciting. You want to get a good night's sleep.
I would love to kind of pull the curtain back for anybody watching this who's maybe never thought about it. So you said that you have content starting at 10 in the morning. 10 in the morning is like, wow, that is a great time. That's respectable. You can sleep in. You can have a lazy morning. When you are someone in your position of power, what time does your morning start when you're going to something like C2E2?
6 a.m.
Yeah.
6 a.m. 6 a.m. to 1 a.m.
Okay, so then I also have to ask, what is your cup of coffee of choice?
So this depends where we're getting our coffee from.
Okay, big question.
Starbucks, great national franchise. Usually that's usually where I'm heading to get coffee. I would say an Americano, blonde espresso with a little bit of heavy cream. But I am kind of a coffee snob, so I am always looking for local coffee shops within the area. I'm pretty sure there's got to be some good coffee around the convention center, if not Starbucks.
There definitely is, and there are several Starbucks inside the convention center, which we love to see.
Yeah, well, if anyone sees me, my order is a grande blonde Americano, so yes.
Okay, there you go. If you see Liz, this is what you need to bring her as an offering. Because one, she's amazing, and two, because you've enjoyed this segment. So I hope you get many tithes of Starbucks coffee over the weekend. You pointed out that we have a lot of programming specific for different age groups of people outside of there's stuff for traditional Western comics nerds, there's stuff for anime nerds, there's stuff for TV and video nerds. When you're going into setting the vibes, is it complicated to have to set up 3 or 4 different vibes that have to run concurrently at a convention?
Yeah, there's definitely some fandoms that I have no idea like anything about them, but I know it's important to somebody out there. So we always try to make sure we have a wide variety of fandoms that we're touching on. I don't want to like, but there's just, yeah, I think there's a really good variety of fandoms out there that you can find something new that you're just like, what is this? You just walk into a panel room and just kind of be like, hey, what's going on? And there's going to be a lot of like networking, from just like pajama parties to like professional networking where you're not in your pajamas. I mean, you could be. There's no rule against wearing pajamas, but there's a lot of professional networking opportunities that are new this year. And then just like I said, new fandoms. We have Nerdlesque. Like,
yes, that's gonna be so cool.
Yeah,
I'm so hyped on that.
On Friday night. Yep. Yes, we there will be some really awesome things happening for that show starting at 9 o'clock.
I'm so glad that you brought up the pajama, not 9 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, PM.
We're getting hot real early in the day. I love that you brought up the pajama party, because I think that is such a fun and creative thing to bring to a convention. And we had prom at Emerald City Comic Con under the ECCCC. When you are trying to, I will never and can never get the correct amount of C's in Emerald City Comic Con. But when you're thinking about bringing a fun event like that to a convention, what's the process like? Does someone throw that out in the room and everyone goes, yes, braid hair, swap stickers? Like, how do you come up with so many amazing, creative, and fun vibes for us?
So it's I guess you could separate it into 3 different ways, I'd say right now. That's the answer that I have now. So one is a lot of this content is fan submitted. So a lot, like just people in general, like they find the application online and they just submit their idea, and we do a review and we're like, that's awesome. Like, let's put that on the schedule. So like, yeah, a lot of the content is fan submitted. And then, you know, a small portion of the content would also be just like my team and I kind of brainstorming, like, what do we think is hip and cool? What will people like? You know, throwing things at the wall and seeing if it will stick. Some of that does, you know, make it on the schedule. And then, an interesting way is some people just in the lobby set up and just do their own thing. Like they just show up to and they're like, this is now happening. At Florida SuperCon, we had just a random DJ set up in the lobby, and it was like awesome. And they didn't apply or anything. They just started doing their thing. So there's a lot of really interesting ways how we come across content for the shows, but I would say most of it's fan submitted.
And for anybody who hasn't got their C2E2 schedule all set, who's still prepping, the website, like it said below, it's right over here. I don't know which way the camera goes. It's one of I think the most fun, the most beautiful. Yeah, it's the opposite. I'm not good at spatial relations. I think it's one of the most beautiful websites. Like, I loved the video of the overhead of the Chicago Convention Center in particular. This is where you want to go. Liz, my last question for you about C2E2 is, do you have anything you want to specifically highlight for people? I know we talked about the pajama party, or any like hacks that you want to let people know before this weekend?
I would say, like, you know, definitely download the app. It's the most up-to-date program schedule that we have, you know, so definitely check out the app and favorite the items you want to do. I would say for like advice, I personally think it's kind of overwhelming when you have like from 10 a.m. to midnight all this content. You know, make sure you drink water. We're under these fluorescent lights all day. Drinking water. And also just like, if you need a moment like that, decompress, like we do have a lot of quiet areas. If you need to just kind of take a moment to yourself and maybe just like read a book or just sit in a panel and you know, take a moment, because like it's 3 full days of a lot of different activities. And I would say just it might be impossible to see everything. So we hope to see you in 2024 too.
Yes.
But that would be my advice. Water and just breathing.
And then, since this is your first time visiting us here in the Popverse, our virtual realm created by ReadPop, I want to end by asking you the requisite question: what are you geeking out about right now that you are not working on?
I mean, the first thing that comes to my mind is I just started The Last of Us. So that's
Yes!
kind of what I'm like freaking out about right now. I just finished episode 1, so I'm like, I need episode 2 before I leave. Like, so I am really interested in that right now. I don't know if that answers your question in terms of other things that I'm freaking out about. I am setting up my PC right now. I really do enjoy some PC gaming. I have my monitor set up next is the tower, but that's
Wait, did we go
yeah.
Alienware? Like, what's the PC game a little bit?
For gaming, on just like you know, you got your League of Legends, Overwatch. I'm really interested in diving into Terraria. I haven't played that game. I started playing Stardew Valley last year, so I kind of want to, explore Terraria, I think, next.
Stardew Valley also excellent vibes. So I think
I'm
that's
really
a great
excited
fit.
for the next game, the Haunted Chocolatier. One day it will come out soon. Yeah.
I'm so glad you brought up gaming. No one ever brings up gaming. So thank you for
Really?
also knocking over that barrier for us.
If you want to talk gaming, C2E2 also has a lot of really great gaming opportunities I'm really excited for. We have our escape rooms. So the escape rooms are located in the South Building. You have to sign up for those. But there's going to be 3 different themes. And then there's going to be murder mystery, which is something new to happen at C2E2 this year. The murder mystery is free, and you do have to sign up for that on site. And then we have Dungeons and Dragons. We're going to have PC gaming. We're working with the CMSA esports group. It's a local Chicago esports group, and they're going to be doing some tournaments at the PCs. Their tournament schedule / meetup schedule will be posted in the app soon. And then we have local gaming organizations like I Play Games, local to Chicago. They're bringing in like their fighting games, FGC, and then Kevin does really great work around the community. He's going to be bringing in a group of students that have been practicing throughout the weeks to have their tournament at the show. And then oh my god, there's so much. And then Galloping Ghost Arcade, also local to Chicago. They're doing their free-to-play arcade, and then they're going to be announcing Dark Presence, which is a new game that they have. And wow, and then another new thing for gaming would be at C2E2 would be Thunderforge Studios. We're going to do a free miniature paint and take. So if you're not familiar with miniatures, it's like in Dungeons and Dragons and like I think Warhammer. Little tiny so you could paint those for free. And then we're gonna have AmpGuard live action role play, so some LARPing. A lot of really great gaming at C2 this year.
I was gonna say, if you're not familiar with miniatures, I'm sure you've seen Henry Cavill paint one on Instagram before.
Yep. So that will some really good options there.
Ooh, that's good to know. Okay, I'm definitely bringing you back to talk gaming, if nothing else, because this was really fun. Liz, Jaite, thank you so much for joining us here in the Popverse today, and have a great C2E2 this weekend.
Thank you. It was an honor.
There's so much gaming in C2E2. That blew my mind, because you know what? She's not a good gamer. I enjoy gaming, but I'm very, very bad at it. Yay, Liz. Yay, Liz, indeed. If you see her this weekend and you don't tithe her with coffee at Emerald City Comic-Con, C2E2, I already have con brain, and we're like 3 cons in. Please say hello to Liz. Our On the Boots team works on the boots on the ground, on the boots team works really hard to make all of these conventions possible. I'm so glad that we got a chance to highlight them today here in the Popverse. Friends, like I mentioned at the top, there will be an episode of Enter the Popverse next week. It's going to be pre-recorded because we are going to be in a completely different time zone, Star Wars celebration in. If you're over there, though, come say hello, say hi, tell us you love the show. Let's talk Star Wars. It is going to be so much fun. As always, you can find all of these stories that I mentioned to you here today on thepopverse.com or down in the show notes in the description of this very episode. All the videos, all the stories, everything that you need for as much context as possible so that you can expand your mind, expand your geeky horizons, help patronize us, and help us know what stories you are the most interested in. As always, Enter the Popverse is based in the Popverse, a virtual realm created by Read Pop. Everything else is at thepopverse.com. While you're over there, why not consider getting a Popverse membership so that you can have the full Popverse experience? You never miss out on a single thing. All the incredible panels going on this weekend from C2E2, all accessible through the Popverse membership. I have been Ashley Victoria Robinson, your video producer and host of Enter the Popverse. These episodes drop every Friday at 10 a.m. Pacific time, 1 p.m. Eastern time. I look forward to seeing all of you next weekend in the Star Wars verse at Star Wars Celebration. Thank you for joining me today here in the Popverse. Stay safe, my friends. Have a wonderful day. I think you all know that I love you so very much, and I'm going to say goodbye.